was your bath. I drank the wine and had a laugh. I did it deliberately. Oh, I acted consciously, and I saw it coming almost every day. I've been smoking in the car. Yes, I took things way too far. I asked myself, what should I do? I thought I was king for me and you. So I felt deliberately, and I also joyfully, and I saw it coming almost every day. Oh, I always hope you never see me cry. But now the tears run down my face.
You gotta sing it in French because you can think of any song that exists.
But now the tables they have turned.
When I hear Sansar and I try to relate that to a song, I think like my own.
Oh, I always hope you never see me cry.
Jesus.
Oh, I always hope you never see me cry.
We're live in the pre-roll.
Hi, Marcus.
Hi, Marcus. Welcome back.
Marcus.
That is the weirdest
You
avatar.
used the
Did Cyrus say that?
phrase you should not use. You did not wait for my excuse.
It's like
You
a
left
chair.
without another word, pretending nothing had occurred.
Hopefully I don't.
You acted decisively, really fearlessly, and I saw it coming almost every day.
I know you have a story.
Oh, I always hoped you'd never see me cry.
You know, it's hard to come up riddles when you
Now
play
the tears
routine.
run down my face.
Like when you're done. Yeah, when you're in the open mic, it's
I
hard to
always
tell
wished
riddle.
you'd say
It sounds like
goodbye.
There are some
But now the tables they have turned.
and then you'll get the
I always
Indian
hoped
stuff.
you'd never see me cry.
got Indian stuff.
Oh, I always hoped you'd never see me cry.
That's a weird one.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Drax.
I'm streaming our show. We're on open mic, right?
Yeah. Open mic day today.
Open mic
Open
day
mic.
today. Is it open for?
Sansar's one year anniversary, right?
Oh, the music is too loud. I gotta turn it down. Sorry. Playing a. Here we go. I had
my
a.
What do you
Gosh.
think?
That
Face
is wild. What is that?
What kind of avatar that is, but it's kind of scary in the ground.
This was my attempt at re-importing the Sansar default as a custom avatar.
Oh Lord.
Check out the face. Check out the face. Isn't it beautiful?
Oh my God.
I know. So trippy.
Have you gotta read blood music. If you read blood music, then you will get really
Face
scared.
goes up and down.
Watch this. Watch when I sit.
And this is the first year anniversary of Sansar Open Beta. What a fitting... Oh my god.
Oh, dancing. It's dancing.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it scary? Is it
This
scary?
is really
I'm
scary.
glad you dressed it.
Okay, folks, children, it is time.
Nightmares.
It is time
time.
to resume or start the event. What event do we have here? Who is producing this event? Hopefully not this half-naked crazy person.
No. Leper is large and in charge today.
Let's go inside, Leper, shall we?
I like that Leper's avatar has sounds connected to the walk.
Oh, this is for all avatars. You can this is for the
We're all stuck.
Leper.
Leper, teleport that puppy up the stairs. There we go.
Oh, I'm pretty messy this side. Screw you. I'm just gonna go ahead.
Having a little trouble, are we?
We are.
No.
Here we are. VR.
Oh my gosh, Drax, you're so big.
Yeah. I don't know how I'm going to sit. I'll sit down, sorry.
Do you want me up here too, Leper, or do you want me to sit in the audience?
It's your choice.
All right.
And control the host, you know. That means you're a bad host. If I control the other host.
Okay. All right. If you throw me the host, I'll be
Yeah.
right here.
That's a good point, Leper. Okay. Leper. Let's welcome the audience.
Oh yeah, it's 2:03. It's audience welcome time.
It's audience welcome time. Welcome the noob too. Oh, I'm sorry. Start over. I'm sorry. I'm zooming the camera.
Welcome, audience, to this crazy night. Because it's Sansar's first birthday. Yeah.
Happy birthday!
So, we gotta be clever and wise in our telling.
Can we tell what Sansar means to us?
Yes, you can.
Bored? You have
Who's coming up?
I could.
And come on down.
Doesn't somebody else want to start? No?
No, you said you wanted to start.
Okay.
Right, Leper?
Yep.
Okay, I'm a little rusty. I'm a little rusty little avatar. Hold on, let me focus my camera on myself. This is an avatar made by Silas Merlin. What does Sansar mean to me? Let me put on my Oculus. So this is Sansar's first birthday in open beta, and I have not prepared anything, so I'm just going to riff it based on that premise. What does Sansar mean to me? This is really maybe going to choke me up a little bit, because when Sansar was announced and I got into the closed beta, I felt what I could bring to the table is maybe a little interview show once a week or something. And I approached my friend Ria to ask her if she was available to build me a little podcast studio, just like a tiny little studio, a table with some microphones on it, where I could, in virtual reality with headsets and everything, could invite friends or panel discussion and have little interviews and then put that out on my audio podcast. Um, so when Ria came on board and said, "Let's do this," she said, "Why would you be like, where would you want to have this studio?" And I said, "Well, in the basement." And then Ria said, "What the heck? Why would you have it in the basement?" I said, "Yeah, because it's kind of a goofy story. Every kind of person in Second Life or virtual worlds is usually sitting in their mom's basement, and then mom is delivering the pizza and the coffee. That's kind of the cliche of the gamer or whatnot, or the virtual world person. And so I want to kind of play with that cliche a little bit." And she said, "Okay, I'll build it in the basement." Then Ria built this studio that is in 114 in the basement and said, okay, that's it. That looks pretty cool. And she built stairs, and we were sitting in this basement. It was already done. It was beautiful. And I said, well, okay, but what if people kind of want to climb those stairs and they want to get out of the basement? Hmm, what would be at the end of those stairs? And we were thinking real hard. And we said, we got it. We got it. There's going to be a house. The basement is in a house. And I said, Ria, can you build a house around the basement? Yes. Ria, can you build the house that we lived in California until 2007, 6? Yeah, do you have pictures? Yes. And then she built the house around it. Okay. We built the house. We meet again in Sansar. It was all closed beta, closed alpha or closed beta. It doesn't matter. Now, what happened next, Leper? We meet at the house. What do you think happened, Leper? We were thinking, what would be around a house?
A street.
A street! Yeah, exactly. And so we built a street. What will be on the street?
More houses.
More houses! Exactly. So it really went from here to there, to there, to there. And then Linden Lab announced to me privately as a part-time Linden Lab contractor. I've done these testimonial videos that everybody knows, that Sansar will be going live July 31st, 2017. And I go like, oh my God, this is the craziest timing. Let's throw a big party. And we threw a big party, and a lot of people came, and we were in this party for 4 hours. I was in the headset for 4 hours. I am not kidding you. I maybe went to the bathroom a couple times, but I was completely immersed, and we were in the basement, and people went out on the street, and people teleported. We had these weird teleports. We had a teleport in Ria's house that went to a weird place with nothing but a trash can, and the trash can had a teleport in there, and people had to bump into the trash can to be teleported back. And then there were too many people in the first instance, and people went to the trash can, bumped into the trash can, were teleported back into a second instance. There was nobody there. Imagine there was a party with 30 people. I kid you not. And you go to this trash can thing. I went there with Max Graff. We went to the trash can, and I said to Max, you got to bump into the trash can to come back to the party. We bump back, and we come out of the spawn pod in 114 Harvest, and it was completely empty. And we go, where is everybody? It was like a Twilight Zone episode. So I want to conclude this little excursion reminiscing about the early days of my Sansar, that what started with a tiny little idea of just having a little basement studio to this whole world, to this whole village thing, and it it feels so real. And then Shyla came on board, and Leper came on board, and now Missy, you're here, and I don't know where Nebula is, and other people that I really totally care about. And what was completely unintended now is becoming an inclusive community from people from all over the world, all walks of life. And as a second lifer for life, it's Sansar is not replacing my second life home, but it has become such an important tight knit home community that I'm just incredibly thankful how it developed. Um, and it shows the strength of what a virtual world is. I'm going to close with by saying that Linden Lab may repeat over and over that Sansar is not Second Life, or it's not Second Life 2.0. But for me, Sansar combines everything that is important about Second Life and sort of catapults it into the stratosphere, and that's pretty awesome. Thank you very much. I'm going to sit back down. Leper, what does Sansar mean to you?
Now, first, that was an awesome story. But secondly, I mean, look around. There's not a lot of people here, and obviously the party's not good. This is a bad fat party. It's a very bad fat party.
Hmm. Is a party only good if there's a if it exceeds a certain threshold of people?
Well, according to your story, yeah, it's gotta be better than your story.
See, I don't. That's a really great point, and I should have probably added that to the story. I don't think so. I think a small intimate meeting like this open mic night that can go from 5 people to 10 to 15 is is as valid as a crazy party where everybody goes nuts and screams and has a super fun time. The as a matter of fact, one of my best friends who I met in Sansar for the first time and now he's become a good friend said he's not coming to the big outings anymore in Sansar because it's dominated by extroverts and that's fine, but it's not for him and he enjoys the small get-togethers, the small meetings. So this open mic here is not a party by that definition, I don't think. It is a much more intimate and focused meeting where we focus on each other and really, really listen deeply. And both things are very valid at the same time. Both things. The loud, crazy running around and then the intimate listening. It's like big, loud music with lots of instruments and very, very quiet, intimate songs. And I'm saying this with an eye on Missy. Hopefully, she's going to perform a song later on. Yeah,
Hopefully.
both these things, those are the ingredients of life. Well said.
So you got a song, Missy? Got a song?
Ooh.
I can't think of any that are Sansar related, honestly, at the moment. But in terms of what it means to me, it just means making others' dreams become a reality and to inspire both like-minded people and also just to allow people to experience something they otherwise wouldn't be able to. And
Leper,
it's
she's
a really
got to
beautiful
come to the
thing.
mic. She's got to come to the tell her to come to the mic. She's not by the mic.
Okay, I'll get up.
Leper, you tell her.
Come to the mic, come to the mic.
Missy could sing the song "Mad World" that was used in a Donnie Darko movie.
No, I mean, I'm not going to say much, honestly, but it's a very great tool, and it makes a lot of people happy, honestly, doing things they might not be able to do in the real world and to live out their dreams.
Garth, close your mic, please. A little loud.
I know.
Can I ask you a question, Missy?
Yeah, sure.
Is it a tool? Is it a platform? Or is it a world? Is it real what happens in Sansar or not? How would you?
I mean, it's real. It's real to everybody. I mean, it's real in the sense that you're existing and you're interacting with real people with real feelings, and that's something that should really matter because you're interacting from all over the globe, but as one central community. And I think that's a beautiful thing. The fact that you can have friends from all over the world and you can collaborate to make your mutual dreams come true. And that's something beautiful that there's I wouldn't say anything does it just like Sansar.
Yeah.
And it's a great thing. And it's so nice to be able to have friends and to meet people and to hear people's experiences that might not be those of the people that live around you geographically. And it is very real. It's wonderful. And I think it's very awe-inspiring. And I know when I was a little girl, I had always dreamed about having something like this to, exist. And I think it's awesome.
This is interesting. I had the exact same. Well, I said this yesterday, like with when it was 12 or so. I felt like there's something like this must exist. Something like a
I looked for a very long time. But no, it's wonderful, and I have a lot of hope for the future.
This is what I was gonna. Can I ask something, Leper? You're the producer. Can I ask Missy another question? I was gonna ask, how did you discover Sansar, and why did it resonate with you? I mean, you kind of said it, but I was gonna. Yeah, how did you discover it?
I can't remember the exact way I discovered it, but I knew that when I read what it was, I was like, this is exactly what I've been looking for so long. And I was very excited because I've enjoyed participating in virtual worlds many times and all that. And this is something that's unique, and I can't quite put my finger on it just yet, but I know there's something very special and about Sansar, and it's something that I've never seen replicated in any, or come anywhere close near to it. It's wonderful, really. And I know it has a lot of potential, and I have very high hopes for it as somebody that's, been in many, many virtual worlds and stuff. This has the best platform I've ever seen.
Wow.
It's gorgeous, and it's got lots of features, and it's so nice to be able to connect with people, that you might not be able to connect with in real life. And I think that gives you a good view on the world,
But why? I just want to stay among my own people. I don't want to meet anybody else. And all those features you're talking about, I don't need them.
Because you get to do something that maybe you can't be able to do in the real world. And this is the real world in the sense that you are experiencing it and stuff, but in the physical world, you get to expand your mind, you get to use your creativity, and that's something that is beautiful and unique. And the fact that you can experience that not just by yourself, but also with many, many other people is something that's unique, and something that I don't think really can ever be taken away, because all these memories that you have here will stay with you for the rest of your life. And I've made plenty of friends through virtual worlds and stuff, and it's very, very how do you put it? It's very meaningful, and it's incredibly special. And I know some people wouldn't really think of, video games aren't for me, but this is not just a video game, I guess, in a way. It's really an extension of yourself, and to be able to use your creativity. And that's something that is very unique and very beautiful.
That's great, Missy.
Thanks. If I had a song related to Sansar, I'd sing it, but that's all I can think of.
Doesn't matter, right, Shyla? We can do anything. This is open mic.
Right, this is open mic. So the theme is just there as a prompt, but anything that's in your heart, you can just do.
Well, I'll give some other people the chance to come up and all that, but in regards to what it means to me in simple terms, it means to be able to have freedom and to have a place to call home, even if you might be physically moving around.
That is really great. That is awesome. I told a good friend of mine who has to move, and she was really dismayed about that. I told her, you know what? You can put Sansar in a box and you move all of us with you. And then when you arrive wherever you're going to be at the physical world, you open the box, the laptop, and that's where we are. We're all in it. We just came along. And we're always there.
That's the beauty of it, really. You can have a million places to go, and all you got to do is pack up your laptop and go.
Yeah. And then you go to Scotland and they have different electricity plugs, damn it. And you forgot to buy one of the things at the airport that has the 3 plugs. Europe, US, continental. Okay, sorry, I get off a tangent. I'm not producing this event. There's a noob. Fleth Robonaut, welcome.
Laptop transformers don't usually mind the voltage. It's your desktop that's gonna have trouble with that. Most of the laptop transformers can plug in to the different things.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Leper? Did you welcome the noobs?
Welcome, noobs. How are you? We just got finished on, I don't know what it called, but yeah, we just got finished something. And now we're continuing because that's our birthday. Yay. So it's a good time for you to be here.
Well, I can share some things, Leper, if you want.
Oh, sure.
So I'm Shyla the Super Gecko, and I think that's a big part of my Sansar story. I'm going to read a poem that's not related, but I think that's a big part of my Sansar story is just having this avatar that I was a gecko in my last virtual world and Second Life, and when I came here, I kept trying on avatars, but it just didn't feel like me, and I always say, who wouldn't want to be a gecko? And a lot of people are like, no, I wouldn't want to be a gecko. But I'm like, oh, yeah, being a gecko is the ultimate. And Drax worked with
Theanine is his name.
Theanine. Yeah,
Theanine.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I have problems with names, but it's Theanine. And Theanine built me this avatar so that I could be a gecko in Sansar, and it made all the difference for me. It made Sansar come alive for me. So I can't take my eyes off Drax today and his. That's amazing what Silas made today too. But I think that's what made the difference for me, and that people cared enough to work together and help me have an identity that fits me and works for me here in virtual worlds. You know, and then being invited to have a place here at Harvest was a neat experience, and just working with the people here at Harvest, the community here is just amazing. So I have a couple of new poems I wrote. I thought I would share them. Should I do a political one? No, I shouldn't do a political one. I'll do a...
it's open mic.
I know it's open mic, but I'm going to do The Road Which Never Ends. I'm going to do that one. The Road Which Never Ends. I remember the road which never ends. Mom would drive us on days so hot to the ice cream store, round the bends, soft hills, green trees, till we found the spot. When a home repair was required, we took the road which never ends, Dad driving us, often ever so tired, to the hardware store where the road descends. Our school and playground was on that road, and so was Mr. Quinn's general store. People from who knows where slowed to pass through town or stop and explore. French fries, long, curly, greasy good, came from the diner the Moores owned there. Along the pavement at Town Hall a general stood in concrete that showed little wear. There was a saloon we were forbidden to enter, and a drugstore with candles galore. A Woolworth's had been gone forever, and a bowling alley stood there before. Now there's a park with slides and swings where dogs gather and play alongside the road which never ends, whether coming or going on your ride. Sometimes we would just drive forever till Mom thought us fast asleep, then turn around, she was so clever, to carry us to bed without a peep. It did not matter which way we went, the road just kept on going, all the way to the annual fair event over the river which was forever flowing. I miss the road which never ends. I miss everywhere it took us. I miss everyone it befriends. I miss the road which never ends. And that's the road which never ends. And then, thank you. It's so nice of you. And then this next one I'm going to do, I haven't titled yet. I just wrote it today at a prompt, so it's only about, what time is it now? It's about an hour old. and it hasn't been worked on a whole lot, but I kind of like what it starts out as. And the prompt word we were given was girl. And so here's what came out. She jumps and somersaults with long Goldilocks hair. I watch through pane of salts as she jumps through blue air. She wears purple and green in a velvet crisp delight. I'm in simple blue jeans, dignified but not right. For she dances and plays none worse and owns the world. I sit and relax and watch, writing verse. Hunted, she knows not her peril. For she is just a girl, young, nothing yet to remind her, no harms on her tongue, no exploitation has unfurled. In her world, playful world. And women who know, who save the girl and do not tell, are we saints or quid pro quo, or gatekeepers of future's hell? Fathers protect, mothers forget, little boys never fret when girls are first beset. Shouldn't we tell them, warn them somehow? Or would that just harm them and ruin play in the now? She jumps and somersaults so freely and gay. I watch from the pane of salts and pray she forgives me someday. And that was from the prompt girl.
Shyla, this is really powerful. Is there any place where we can read those? Do you publish them to your website, or how can we reread them?
I don't publish them to a website at this point. I just I do them in shows. If there are shows where I'm invited to read in the virtual worlds, I do them there.
I mean, you could actually have an object here in Sansar, like just a book object or some sort of a tablet, and you can swap out the texture easily and just put that poem on it, so you could just stack them here in the. That's just an idea.
Yeah, that's an idea. I think, yeah, there is a way to do that.
I will set that up if you wanna. I'll ask someone who can do it, and then we'll have it done.
Oh, that'd be great.
Like a pipeline, right, where you just basically retype it in whatever editor you use, and then put that into a Photoshop template, export it, upload it to materials. It's super. It's 3 steps, and it's done. That's how I do my books.
I've done that before. That's how I did them into Second Life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd be happy to do that.
What was inspiring this one, since it's so new? Did that just
Well,
happen?
I think partly like the Les Moonves thing in the news. You know, this idea
That's political.
This idea that you know, as girls, we have these challenges we face and these decisions we have to make, and you know, when you look at somebody like Les Moonves, or you look at who was the other guy?
Harvey
Weinstein. You know, these are people who can make or break your career, and so to say that women should just say no, everyone should be saying no. Like, this should be unacceptable behavior, and everyone should be saying no. And yet, what do we do to prepare young girls to face what probably most women have to face at least once in their life, is this kind of, you know, and I think too, I was listening to a friend of mine share a story, like just off the cuff, of where she was, you know, she was happily married for 60 years, but she was telling me of some of the dates she had before then, and that one of them was this very nice guy, and she dated him a couple of times, and then he drove her down to a long, empty road and told her what she was going to do for him if she wanted a ride home.
Whoa.
And she made the decision to walk. And she said, so then he drove behind her with the lights on as she walked. And she said, and finally, he let her get back in the car and took her home. But it's, you know, this kind of peril that women face in our society today, and who prepared her for that? And all the things that could have gone wrong that night that miraculously in her case did not.
We are, see, now we're getting into a subject matter that I find incredibly important from what's the matter with Sansar to toxic masculinity. Um, I would actually really like to shift a little bit maybe there, because you're bringing this up, and there is a resurgence of weird thought on the internet among some young men who say, well, women bring it upon themselves, or women are destroying mankind, and I stump. Shall I join you at the mic, or does anybody mind
Sure,
we're
come on
talking
up and you
about
take the
this?
mic.
But I wanna,
You come up.
I don't want to talk over other, like Garth is here, people who still want to talk about Sansar. Um, Hi Urban, hi Granddad, hi Garth.
No, I totally, no, it should be totally free. I mean,
Free
it's
as a
bringing,
wind, I got to be
yeah,
free.
it brings back memories of, I think for me, the comparable thing is when you're a little boy and you change schools, and there's the beating that you have to get each time you change a school. It's the
Yeah,
same thing as being vulnerable as a woman
yeah.
and unprotected.
Then let's expand on this, and I'll share a little story, and then we can switch again. Uh, you guys know that YouTube has been in the news lately for very strange videos, very strange um, animated videos targeted towards kids that are weird, sort of algorithmically produced versions of sort of Disney cartoons to generate hits and generate views. And the YouTube algorithm recommends um, videos, and these strange videos. There's a lot written about them. They got millions and millions of hits, and nobody really knows where they come from, how are they generated. The reason why they're generated is because they generate so many hits, and they're recommended to advertisers because they look very similar to very popular kids movies. So there's nothing sexual about them. They're just strange. The reason why I started my story with that is I read a story where somebody said because of the YouTube algorithm, people get really radicalized and exposed to some really weird crap because YouTube, just like other social networks, wants to keep you engaged and keep you on the platform. So this writer did an experiment to go where she went from a historically sound video that described a historical event in very sort of factual terms, and she went from that to in 10 steps to the craziest conspiracy theory imaginable. So I'm not going to get into these details. So I tried that same thing, and I went from a left-leaning podcast. In 7 steps, YouTube kept recommending me stuff, and I was randomly picking out of the recommendation tree on the right, right? So I went from lefty American podcast to because I'm in Germany, to German semi-left comedy, to a guy who believes in UFOs. That was video 3 or 4, I think. And here comes the killer. And I was aware that this stuff exists. But video number 7 wasn't. This goes back to now Shyla's topic. Video number 7 was a TED Talk type presentation of a young man, hipster looking, maybe 25 tops. He had a PowerPoint presentation about why dating single moms is a bad idea. And this was the most offensive thing I have ever seen. It was unbelievable. It was like you were trying to explain to someone why it's not a good idea to take, I don't know, a vacation next to a nuclear power plant. He was going through the steps in his PowerPoint. He was saying, women, single mothers are damaged goods. They only think about themselves. Look at them. They already like ditched a man once. They're going to ditch you too. If you want sex, bad thing because they're not going to give it. They're all about the kids, so forget about that. It was basically the craziest and I was aware, tangentially aware of this movement, of this crazy anti-woman movement in that age group, but I've never seen anything so callous, so cynical, so focused on, like, I gotta find a woman who's gonna satisfy my needs and shuts up. And that YouTube video had, I don't know, had like 500,000 hits or something like that. It was part of I've written this down somewhere. The channel is like the 21 Project or something like that. They have a conference in Florida. So anyway, I was just reminded of that when Shyla told that story about this guy who basically felt that the woman, uh, that was her duty, that was her one place in his life to fulfill um, his deeds, and he was going to go through all these lengths to get it. And there's obviously way worse where people then actually go to physical violence to get what they think they deserve. And yeah, sorry, it's just depressing. Applause. That killed the room fast. It's just, I don't know, it's like, but these are young people, right? Like, you think like this is sort of like a strain of thought or something, and we know about the incels, the involuntary celibates, where this one guy who ran over the people with the car was affiliated with, and stuff like that. So there is an anger. There's people like to joke about entitlement and stuff like that, but there's an anger in society with men that is fueled by a weird constructed semi-philosophy that finds fuel in those on YouTube and other platforms. I don't know what I don't I it's hard to say, like, YouTube, take all this stuff down, because then free speech is an important thing, and these are private platforms, and next thing you know, they take my stuff down because I talk about it. I mean, that's happening. They're taking stuff down that's informational, LGBTQ informational videos, all that stuff is now that they take that down too in their broad sort of net. Anyways, I'll shut up. Garth, if you want to come up and expand on that, please do.
Hold on. Yeah.
You have to come to the mic. We can't hear you. You're just a little Game Boy.
Hold on, let me teleport over there. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of things that go through human history that indicate that there are some good, there are people that are just kind of naturally good, or things that are creative versus destructive. Mm-hmm. And that as you're growing, you see manifestations of the bad stuff, the destructive stuff, and it can be so overwhelming that you forget that flowers bloom. There's the creative is really huge. All this around us that we're experiencing now is really, really huge, and it's true. There's Friedrich Nietzsche. There's all this darkness and terrible destructive ideas. But I think that I'm just going to go back to my early childhood and say,
well, you're actually tying this almost back into Sansar again, because Sansar is so much about creativity, and it has the potential to bring us together and to show us how rewarding creating is in a positive way, and building things rather than destroying together.
Right. And getting past, whatever Richard III-esque kind of mentality life might have given us, and becoming a new person through this medium. I used to have to walk home from school, and one day, a very tough kid that I had known, I knew his name from roll call or whatever, but he was acting friendly with me, and he was walking down the road, and I was like, wow, this guy, he's real strong and he's tough and everything, and he wants to be my friend. This is so great, And all of a sudden he said, another suspect approaches, and there were like these kids walking up around us, and he proceeded to beat me up. And it was the first time something that severe had happened. Usually, there'd been a punch or something, when the teacher wasn't looking, but we had moved to a place between my house and the school where he was able to really start to work me over. And the shocking thing was everybody surrounded us in a circle, like cheering, right? And and for whatever reason, there was my mom. My mom suddenly drove up the road, and it was just like a miracle because she had somewhere she had to go, and she thought she was not going to be home when I got home. So she wanted to lock up the house and then drive along my walking route and pick me up. So, I was in a bad way, and I had to be rushed to the hospital.
Was it? That's how bad it was. It was really.
Yeah. I had trouble walking for a few days, but I had to have X-rays and everything, and my mom grabbed the kid and let him go, and that in itself was trauma. She was like, "I'm taking, you're in big trouble now, young man," and then she said, "Don't let me catch you again," and let him go. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I really didn't understand for many years. I
felt kind of betrayed.
Right. That she let him go. And many years later, she revealed that she knew that his father had a drinking problem via the mother, that the father was violent and was beating the children, and she did not want to take the boy to his father.
Right.
She felt like what she was seeing is what he was learning at home.
Right.
Well, so the next day that I was at school, it was a couple of days later, I think, and I'm going down, and there's this other little boy that lives up the road from me, and the same scenario began to play out. The guy was walking alongside him, being really friendly and stuff, and I noticed, looking over my shoulder, what was going on, and then suddenly he threw him down and started to just really work him over, really beat him. And I took off running down the street to the first, there's a lady that was on the corner that would watch for her kids every day to come down the road there. And I said, help, and I had the whole thing of like, this guy, I'm gonna get it, but by God, I'm gonna do this thing because I'll never be able. I can't stand here and watch him do that to somebody, and I ran down and I got her, and she went and saved the kid, and I really feel that was formative to me, because you have that whole thing of like, oh well, if I say something, if I stand up for this weak, defenseless person, I'm gonna catch it.
But it's also formative in the sense like you're describing, because it forms your outlook towards people of authority or people that you look up, in that case an adult. Like, what happens if I, as a weak person, a child, ask the adult, will they do the right thing? And then, of course, in this context where you couldn't see the whole picture, your mother was doing the wrong thing.
Right. But what I didn't understand is she had a very a deeper view.
No, absolutely. If the guy would have been beaten to death by his alcoholic father.
I think that I have found myself time and again in life, taking up writing letters for Amnesty International, when somebody is like been imprisoned or something like that for no reason. And I feel like I should do something, you know, to help defenseless people, and not just let the, you know, and that's part of what being creative is all about. You know, it's not about the destructive thing is like about hatred and revenge and fear and all that stuff like that, and courage, I think, is going. I don't know. To me, there's kind of there's fear in courage. You know, it's sort of like there's an acceptance in courage where you go, okay, you know, I may catch it, but I'm going to do this thing because that's the way I want to be treated. If I'm helpless and somebody is doing that to me, oh my God, I want somebody to help me. You know, please help me. And so.
And where does this come from, you think? Why do some? I mean, it's really complex because now we can also be talking about the bystander syndrome and that kind of thing, where people don't intervene. There's so many examples where they would have the upper hand if they would band together. It's completely understandable that there is fear involved, stepping in and stuff like that. But I always wonder about that. You know, I think everybody wonders if they would step in. What do you think makes someone stepping in? A formative experience like that maybe is probably one part of the puzzle. But why do some people step in despite the fear of that? You know, that they get harmed severely in some cases, and others don't. Although they could win the altercation. So, yeah. Why do some people step in?
I think it sort of builds on itself. You know, you find when you, as time passes in your life, when you have these kind of events to look back on. I guess for me, you know, I was born in the very early 60s in the Deep South, and I can't describe the kind of place we had. I mean, there were no foreigners. And it was segregated. It was black and white, and there was, you know, the people lived in terror and fear. And you know, I grew up in that environment where, you know, people stood up and they kept on, you know, trying to do the right thing. And our city now is. It's totally transformed. It's you know, there's a Vietnamese community, there's a Chinese community, there's communities from all of Korean. There's a big gay LGBTQ community, and you know, even 30 years ago, what we're seeing today it seemed inconceivable. But it happened, and the city is so much better. Atlanta and everything is not only has it been transformed, but it's been transformed in so many good ways. And they're still jerks, and they're trying to make a comeback and everything, you know. But we just keep on. If everybody just does their own little bit and stands up, you know. When they see somebody being bullied or something like that, if they just say, I'm not going to accept that, usually bullies are more cowards than you imagine. You know, that's why they seek out people that are totally defenseless. And a first sign of a bully is that if they choose an enemy that has no hope of defending themselves, you know, and those people are generally actually big cowards.
And they come themselves from it's a complex thing with bullies, because I had my issue in California with the zero tolerance policy, because it's like your mother. I can see when she sees the big picture, she has empathy because she knows it's passed down through generations. Kid was probably beaten by the alcoholic father, and so there's not that there's limited liability, but it's a more of an empathy towards the.
How do I make the situation better?
Yeah.
If I, you know, if I if I think before I do something about what the consequences of my actions are going to be, it may result in a nuanced response to a situation that, to me at the time as a kid, it was very, as a kid, I was shocked by it, but many, many years later, I came to understand that she was wise. She made a good decision. And, incidentally, the boy has since died. He died fairly early. And I think that often happens, that when people they're very full of hate or fear and violence, it makes for a shorter life. Whereas people that are engaged in their communities and have meaningful and helpful relationships with the people around them, it's one of the major factors, and science is showing it now, for longevity, and I believe as well for mental clarity. My mother, right up until the day she died, was very at 85. She was very brilliant. I would call her from China, and she would talk for 5 hours.
Whoa!
Absolutely crystal clear.
She could have been my master. I can only talk for 4 hours. Now that's fantastic, because it speaks to mental hygiene, that you can practice it to some extent yourself, even within the madness, even when everything looks so bleak sometimes nowadays. But you can practice some mental hygiene, just like even an event like this one, where we're connecting via deep stories, and we glean insight into the human condition, and it's empowering and good and kind. Leper, Shyla, you guys are running this thing.
And it's
I
wunderbar.
feel like the drama teacher. Shyla, Leper, mute.
What a drama teacher you had. She caused drama.
The Gong Show.
Yeah, the gongs. No. No gongs here. Just applause. But thanks.
Thank you, Guard. Thank you. That is super insight.
Thank you.
Dong.
Dung dung.
And
Granddad
where's
is
the
standing
doorbell
here
when
as
you need that?
the doorbell.
Where's the doorbell when you need one?
Oh, is
I'd
it
like
not?
to thank.
Oh, sorry,
I'd like
Granddad.
to thank Oprah and Phil for inviting us here. No, it was very. It took a turn from what I thought we'd be talking about. That was interesting. So I guess I was going to talk a little bit about what Sansar means, and because it was a lot like what Missy was saying for me. I don't. She comes from virtual worlds, but this is my first actual experience of spending any time in virtual. I came into it from programming an Unreal Engine and then programming music applications for my hobbies. So it's been different. It's been different. I'm having a hard time figuring out how to engage in the community. So that's been my the thing that's been kind of eye-opening to me. I've never really been in chat rooms before. My interactions with people are like through technical forums. So it's been a real interesting, different experience. Yeah, it's just something completely different for me. From the fact is, it's not like a project team working on a specific software project like I've done many times. It's a much looser collaboration, and I find it fascinating.
This is super interesting perspective, because I think we're all here with previous virtual world experience. I mean, I think Shyla, you've been in Second Life even longer than I have, but but Granddad, you're talking in a context of collaboration. How about just with community, leaving aside the collaboration? I mean, isn't it so? It's more than a technical forum. It's an actual village where you could knock on someone's door and see if they're home and can borrow you an egg or a quart of milk or something.
It is, and that's the hard part that I've gotten. It's kind of strange, because what I do as a creator, and I think most creators do, and it's kind of the nature of Sansar right now too. It sounds to me like Second Life. There was more. You did things more in a world. So if you were building stuff, a lot of times somebody could actually come up and see you in the world doing the building. So it felt. I guess it sounded like it. At least I've heard people talk about it this way. Here, a lot of people. The back and forth happens almost more in Discord, quite honestly, because at least in the scripters world. I mean, and then you get off in side conversations about all kinds of crazy stuff, just like you do here, But it happens in Discord because you're spending your time in Visual Studio. You spend very little time actually in Sansar.
That's such an interesting perspective, which is completely different from mine. But this is your story. I don't spend any time in Visual Studio.
Yeah.
Not a second. I spent much more time in Sansar, actually.
Yeah.
And in
that's
Second Life.
what I've been trying to, because of that, that's some things, in fact, I just kind of realized that the last couple of weeks, that I'm going to have to, I think I'll enjoy myself more if I kind of meter myself and say that, I'll do the technical creation, whether that be modeling or programming and stuff, and try to do that in the mornings. And that's why it's been nice that these events that you've, been scheduling in Harvest, provides us that ability to say, hey, I'm going to take a break from this and enjoy the actual camaraderie in the afternoons. And so I'm going to go back to that because I also, as a programmer, you tend to, you hear the stories, especially of coders. I think it happens with 3D models as well. You start on something and you look up and it's 6 hours later. And you just can't leave it go because there's just one more thing you need to go do. And I'm going to probably put more discipline in myself to be able to, do that, but don't do that at sacrificing, not enjoying the actual
the community and the
use of
interaction. So this is like for you, this is like walking the dog or going over to the water cooler or to the coffee shop and just having a little bit of human interaction outside of your interaction with Visual Studio. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really what it is. It turns to me, and I think a lot of the scripters, it turns out that way. And what happens in a scripters world, it seems to me, is it's through Discord. You know what I'm saying? Almost more. I mean, you're sharing a common interest, being Sansar and scripting in Sansar, but we very seldom actually go into the physical Sansar platform, but we still have a community. I mean, to me, Discord is part of the community.
Oh, absolutely. There's people. Ralph Koster maintains that that Twitter is a virtual world. He has a whole philosophy around that, which I personally disagree with it a little bit because I think the sense of presence we have here has to do with our embodiment. And Shyla was saying this earlier. Shyla was saying that Sansar became interesting to her when she was able to be the super Gecko again that she is in Second Life, and before that it was just sort of kind of a hollow thing, and now she's brought the life in it, and the life has to do with the avatar. So for you, with all this stuff being new, is then the avatar important? Sorry, I'm taking over this. This is so fascinating. Is the avatar important, or is that just sort of a vessel, like a vehicle that you need to climb up the stairs, and so that you're not like just a disembodied name tag floating around and creep people out?
Yeah, this is new for me again, this whole idea. And so the avatar really hasn't been, as you probably can tell by looking at me, has not been that important to me. It's to me, it's not what I think about when I get in here and do things. And it seems, and it is important to other people, that self, and I can see why it is kind of, but
no, that used to be actually in Second Life. They used to say if you see someone who looks like the default avatar, or a really like old noob avatar, that's a person who is extremely productive, because they don't have time to get dressed. I'm not saying you're badly dressed. I'm not saying that.
I don't feel that bad about it, but because that is another part of the creative process. I did a lot of, I wouldn't call avatar modeling, but I did a lot of 3D photography type stuff and things like Poser and Daz, and because of that, I like the, creating the modeling side of it
Mm-hmm.
and doing that. But I don't think much of that as in terms of, you know, that means I should look like this or look like that.
Mm.
I'm like you say, it isn't just as important to me when I'm in Sansar.
Right.
But I can see why it is to other people.
Great. Granted, that's really, really awesome insight from a completely different angle that we sometimes forget.
Yeah, and I'm trying
We
to.
meaning the second lifers for life people.
Yeah, I'm constantly. It's kind of funny because like this is the first time I've seen it, so I've got some of the. Oh, this is cool things that probably the second lifers felt 10 years ago, right? I mean, you've been doing it for 10 years, but to me, it's the first time I've ever seen somebody doing that, and so it seems kind of neat. So, and I'm constantly people reference things to Second Life, and I think, what are they talking about?
Mm-hmm.
I get lost with that. It's like when a lot of people listen to coders talk. I mean, it's the same sort of thing. It's kind of a secret language, but I've enjoyed it so far. So, I think that's what's led to my interest in here is you're talking about being able to share things with people. You know, that's why I think creating as a script or creating interactive stuff is so important. So people can share things together inside of the world. So that's what I've been trying to concentrate on.
Fantastic, Granddad. I'm looking around. I'm the official timekeeper. We have Blue Booth, Louveau Anime, and Urban. We have completed the hour. Does anybody want to talk on the subject? What does Second Life mean to you? Urban?
I haven't been on
Did
Second Life in forever.
did I just say Second Life? Was that a Freudian slip?
You said Second Life,
Sansar,
but
so
it's actually Sansar's 1 year anniversary.
we're not in Second Life? Oh my
No.
God. I'm so
No, he's been drinking the punch again. Drinking the Kool-Aid.
At least you didn't say VR chat or something. So
What? We're not in VR chat?
No.
Okay, nobody wants to step up to the podium. Then I'm going to say my final words and close the show.
I can step up.
Actually,
I just wanted
Leper.
to say about who he was.
Leper
But,
is
you know,
Leper is the MC. I'm sorry. I was gonna just rudely take over here.
I know it's so rude. How dare you?
Leper, I'm a monster, Leper. I can wrestle the microphone away from you. Look at me. I'm scary looking.
What Sansar means to me is, well, it used to mean the money. It still does mean no money for me. That's a big plain symbol. It's the way it means to me. And
I knew that this was coming.
but now it means to me that having fun with people and chit chatting and just having great minds. Just be educated by great minds. That's what's for me at the time. And yeah, and just being in a virtual world and being with people.
Mm-hmm. And geckos.
And geckos.
And monsters.
And monster things.
Monster thingies.
Yay, monsters!
Thanks, Leper. It's great to hear that Sansar means more to you than just money.
Yeah.
Geckos.
Geckos. It'd be so good if I could see a gecko just walk on the ceiling one day. That'd be cool. That'd be hilariously funny.
What do you mean, like little geckos running around? What?
Geckos.
You know, like if a gecko was like a vampire, just what you were just talking to a gecko, and then all of a sudden they're just walking on the ceiling.
Oh, so they bite you, you turn into a gecko?
I don't know. It'd be interesting to see that.
Yeah.
Like, how would things play out? So I wonder.
I think that
Would it be like Oasis, or would it be like Second Life? 2.0, but I think it'd be like Oasis.
The Oasis is not what you be careful what you wish for. All right,
Well, I mean,
if nobody else is coming to the mic, should we wrap it up?
I would
Yes,
just
we
echo
can.
something. Can I say something?
Yes, Luvo, come to the
Step on
mic
up.
quickly. We'll do a little overtime.
Well, I was just going to say, for me, the VR world and Sansa offers me the opportunity
Guard,
to
there was somebody.
present a persona that I
Oh.
can't be in real life.
Sorry, can you
Or
start over?
like a
Sorry,
thing I can't be in real life.
Oh, shit.
So the avatar is quite important to me. I feel it is a projection of myself, and it's how I'd like people to see me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a creative person, and the Sansar, as soon as I heard it, I knew it was going to be a great opportunity to experience things in three dimensions and being able to see everything around you. That's what I find so incredible about it, is that it feels not real, but it feels kind of real. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, do we know what you mean? We do. I think it's
Yeah.
super real.
We do.
It's very realistic.
It's very real, but it's not only realistic, it is real because this is the memories that we're creating. This is real interaction with real people. And I was going to ask you because you mentioned the importance of the avatar. So this is important that you can present yourself in the world with this avatar, right? So
Yeah.
if you
I
were
mean,
if this were just like a cloud, let's say, or you were just like I was joking, like a floating name tag, this would not
yeah.
have the impact at all.
No, because I feel like I'm standing in a room with all of you here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just looking at a screen and reading words. You have physical representations of yourselves here, and your brain believes that you're all here in the same room, even though you're on different parts of the globe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's absolutely incredible.
It is. It absolutely is, and that's why it's real. And here is Ollie24 throwing my little cat all over the place. That's also.
That's what I just wanted to say for this moment.
Thank you, Luvo. I have one follow-up question because I find this so fascinating. We have this range of opinion about the importance of the avatar. I find super fascinating how this open mic went today. We ran all the gamut. Granddad says, well, that's I could do without, or it's secondary, not unimportant, and for you it's essential. So we have all these different opinions.
Yeah, the only thing that's missing for me is being able to look down at myself, which is not here, but I hope it will come.
It absolutely will. I wonder if you pick this app, but you customized this avatar a little bit, right?
Yes, I did.
You added clothing, you added hair. It's not the default.
Yeah.
Would you be able to? This is a question I ask everyone that I meet. Like, would you be able to live with if you had an avatar where you could not change anything, where you have to pick one from the shelf?
No, because I have had to pick this one from the shelf, and I am sort of started to become this avatar,
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to have more customization to it because I don't want to. I like to have a unique look. With the Second Life avatar, I created quite a unique. Played around with the sliders really carefully, and I actually did create quite a unique look for myself there. Mm-hmm. I don't see hardly anybody that looks like me. The Sansar sliders weren't so.
Well, they're very
do a
rudimentary
great deal.
still.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's gonna change too, I suppose.
But I know that with a bit of time, I could actually make my own model
Yep.
and upload it. As long as you can start adding attachments to it, which I'm hoping comes later, then you can dress that one you
We
create.
can do that now. I found out that we can
What you
do
can?
custom attachments. Attachments, yeah. Found out. We can do that now.
All right.
Oh, OG is throwing all this stuff here. Hi, OG, Ollie JR24. You're at open mic. Do you wanna step up to the mic and talk to us about what Sansar means to you today? Ollie JR.
I just realized something. I think it's kind of funny, Drax, that as I sit here, I just realized that I'm always in first person.
Mm-hmm.
So that must mean my avatar. I don't even see myself when I'm in world.
You are just a disembodied name tag.
I guess I am.
Okay, Urban.
I never realized that.
I'm sorry. I gotta run out. It's evening time. People know that for me. So I gotta wrap up the show. Urban, you want to close it? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I am.
Sure.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm gonna kind of force you. Although I'm not even in charge. Leper, you're the producer. Tell Urban to go to the mic, please. He has something to say.
Yes, Irvin, come to the mic. Be one of us.
Be one of us, but you have to say it into the mic, otherwise he can't hear you. Oh shit, he heard you.
I feel like I'm being inducted into a cult or something.
Yes, you are.
No, I just want to say thank you all for coming. I really enjoy hearing from all of you. I'm really glad to see where this community is leading. And yeah, you're all wonderful human beings. Thank you so much for existing.
Thank you. Urban, clap, 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 big time.
And apparently that's the end of the show. So see you folks. Till next time. To be continued forever.
Thank you, Leper.
I hope so.
Leper, this is so cute how you were waving with the hand. Can you do it again, please? Yeah, look at it.
Bye-bye, y'all.
Bye-bye, y'all. Is Shyla still with us? Goodbye, YouTube. Goodbye, Twitch. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Hexapoda.